Teams in the West matchup tonight on ESPN. The 2-seed Suns hosting the top seed Jazz. So Stephen A., who do you feel better about right now? Is it the Suns or is it the Jazz?
Still going to go with the Jazz. I love what I'm seeing from the Suns. I've been incredibly impressed, no doubt. Devin Booker's a star. CP3. You could say he's an MVP candidate because of his leadership with the Phoenix Suns and Monty Williams and Randy Ayers and Willie Green and that coaching staff. Can't say enough about the job that they've done. And I love the progress I'm seeing from DeAndre Ayton as well. But I think that there's still a piece or so away. They're a relatively young team. I think next year will be more promising than this year. When I look at the Jazz, great three-point shooting team, great defensive team in the interior and on the perimeter, and they have Donovan Mitchell. I think the combination of all of those things and the number one seed that they are, I think I go with the Jazz at this particular moment in time.
We see how long they'll be the number one seed. Phoenix is coming. And they were 8-0 in the bubble, and then they brought in Chris Paul. And listen, Conley and Donovan Mitchell, that's a whole lot. Chris Paul and Devin Booker's an even better backcourt. And if Utah has a slight advantage elsewhere, maybe a slight one, give me the team with the backcourt that has the ball in their hands and can do it on the level of CP3 and Devin Booker.
The businessman in Jerry takes over, and he's thinking box office. That's what he's thinking about. But I would remind him, Dan Marino had Mark Super Duper, Mark Clayton. Dan Fouts had Charlie Joyner and Kellen Winslow Sr. and Chuck Muncie and those boys. High-powered offense. No Super Bowl to show for it.
SA, to your point, therein lies the issue. This is why we go in this ever-revolving circle about Jerry Jones being involved in the decision-making, because that sizzle does get him. That is a part of what he kind of confines himself to when we get around draft time. I'm going to take you all back. Do you remember when Travis Frederick was drafted and Zach Martin and the Dallas Cowboy fans was like, what in the hell are we doing
earlier,
taking a center in the first round? Like I was in that same vein, because you automatically think in the draft, go get the best guy. But the decisions were the right ones. Dallas, had it not been for injury or just moving parts, arguably for a 3-year run, had the best offensive line. We thought about Zeke as the best running back. Dak was able to thrive faster than most young quarterbacks can because they solidified that part of their team. I get it with Kyle Pitts, but please don't lose focus on the things that need to happen. Your offense is good outside of depth. From an offensive line standpoint, you have weapons. You have the quarterback. Defensively, with a new D coordinator, you need to try to find a game changer on that side of the ball. And please do it, and don't get caught up in the Kyle Pitts saga. I hope he's not there, y'all.
Well, Pitts could definitely help the numbers as far as tight ends traditionally have been with the Cowboys, because since 2016, tight ends for Dallas have ranked 19th in receiving yards and 22nd in receiving touchdowns. So could be an improvement there. But again, and all about that box office sizzle. Okay, guys, let's move to Seattle, because there are some things happening there. The uncertainty of Russell Wilson's future with the Seahawks has really been a hot topic all offseason. However, amid re-signing a new deal with the Seahawks, veteran defensive end Carlos Dunlap said it was Wilson's words that convinced him to stay with the team.
I did ask him if obviously he was going to be with us, because if I'm coming back because I see him as my quarterback, and the rest of the team, I want to pick up where we left off. And he told me that he's with us and he's here to stay. And he said, let's go Hawks. And I'm not going to quote his every word, or these words are not his words verbatim, but these are my explanation of how I interpreted what he said.
Okay, so Russell Wilson said it, but Max, do you buy Wilson's commitment to the Seahawks?
Hell no. Look, of course he's going to tell teammates that, Dunlap, whatever, on the defense, on the offensive line. Of course, he's going to beat them in the head with all kinds of nonsense, because in that relationship, he needs those guys pulling in the same direction, especially, I'm not forgetting about defense players, the offensive line, he needs protecting them. No, they haven't done a great job in recent years, but I think their performance has been ticking up as the team has devoted more resources in draft pick in terms of draft capital and in terms of financial resources to the line. They realize now, no, we just can't just take any old guy and coach him up. It doesn't work that way. I brought up earlier the trade Max Unger for Jimmy Graham is really when it started going downhill. But Russell Wilson holds on to the ball. He admitted that. That adds to the problems. Let Russ cook. Sometimes it results in touchdowns. Sometimes you get tackled. You get sacked. You get hit. Look, the bottom line is this. He, on the record, had his official representative release the names of 4 teams he would agree to trade. I don't want to trade, but went through all 31 other teams. Said, no, but I don't like the line here, but that market's not right. Probably sat down with his agent, his wife, the whole thing, talked about it, thought about it, and presented the world with 4 names. Don't tell me you're there for good. Don't tell me you're trying to stay put for good. You wouldn't have done that.
Russell Wilson is winning football games, 10 victories a couple of seasons ago, 11, and then 12 this year. So they've been in the playoffs the last 3 years. They've won 1 playoff game. We understand that. You yourself have been on the record calling them a very respectable and competitive team. We get all of that. Drew Brees is gone. Aaron Rodgers is having some problems in Green Bay because they don't know how to appreciate greatness. We've got Matt Ryan, and he ain't going to be what he used to be. I know that we look at the West and we think about L.A. because Matthew Stafford is there, but Jimmy G is in San Francisco. They're about to draft a quarterback, so who knows what that situation is going to regress into. When I look at Russell Wilson, here's what I see. I see an all-world quarterback who's going to the Hall of Fame, who's a Super Bowl champion, who's been to 2 Super Bowls, that feels underappreciated by Pete Carroll. I think Pete Carroll is smart enough to look around the football landscape and say, smarter than the Green Bay Packers, by the way, and say, what are my chances of finding another Russell Wilson? I better pay attention. The brothers put me on notice because he's isolated and highlight 4 teams that he'd rather play for than me. He ain't going to Dallas. So now you've got New Orleans, you've got Chicago. I forgot what the other team was. But the bottom line is you're looking at all of that. And I think this is one of those situations where Pete Carroll is successful for a reason. Pete Carroll's successful even though he can be pig-headed and wants to do things his way. He's smart enough to listen to Russell Wilson say, look, I'm not happy. You're getting on my last damn nerves. And if you don't, and if you're not going to listen to me and watch me continue to get sacked, because I've already been sacked 394 times in my career, 47 times last year, I'm not putting up with this any longer. I think because of that reality, Pete Carroll reached out to him. I think modifications are in the process of being made, and I think that's why Russell Wilson can look a teammate in the face and say, let's go Hawks. I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying here. Because I think he's had those conversations with Pete Carroll once stuff percolated about Seattle, about Russell Wilson wanting out of Seattle. And I think Pete Carroll was smart enough to address that with him. Just guessing.
Give the lullaby. People lie. Period. And I'm with you, Max. Like, this dude literally put out a list of teams that he would be open to being traded to. The relationship was troubled at that point. If it had, obviously it was some things going on and transpiring before that list came out, but that solidified it, because once it comes to the public eye, especially coming from your team, everything changes. So that's why we're sitting here talking about, like, why would we even focus on Russell Wilson telling Carlos Dunlap that I plan on being here and go Hawks? We wouldn't care about that if we believed it. We don't. Like, nobody believes that Russell Wilson is happy, and we all think he wants to be moved, including Carlos Dunlap. That's why answering that question to the reporter was telling, because the reporter asked the question based on the fact that Russell Wilson is not committed to the Seattle Seahawks. And until he says he is, until he says, I'm here to stay, I like the moves that we're making, I'm going to be the quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks, I'm not changing my tune. Russell Wilson wants out of Seattle, obviously, but Russell Wilson telling his teammate, a defensive end that they picked up last year in a trade or off waivers, is not convincing me that he's committed to the Seattle Seahawks. Y'all can be booby the fool. I'm not going to be one.
All right, the man has spoken. Hey, Marcus, we thank you so much. Don't forget your Instagram post later. We want the full outfit, and I want to see what shoes you have on, although I'm pretty sure you don't have any professional-looking shoes on right now.
Slippers, LSU slippers.
All right.
Y'all know I ain't tripping. I don't hide nothing.
All right. Well, we support it, Marcus. Thank you so much. Okay,
Bye,
guys.
man.
All right, y'all.
Yeah, keep stealing Stephen A's outfits, too. We like that.